What if your need to control everything is your biggest prison? What if the control you seek is what's actually controlling you? Have you ever stopped to think that maybe your obsession with having everything under control is exactly what's making you feel out of control? While you're planning every detail, organizing every aspect of your life, and trying to predict every outcome, life keeps happening its own way. And then you wonder, why, even though I'm controlling everything, do I feel more anxious than ever? The truth is, control has become a drug, a socially acceptable drug, sold as productivity, strategic planning, and organized living. But behind this shiny facade of colorful planners and management apps, there's a cruel reality. The more you try to control, the more imprisoned you become. Think about it. When was the last time you truly relaxed? Not that fake relaxation where you're on the couch, but your mind is racing thinking about tomorrow's tasks. I'm talking about that real relaxation where you actually let go and trust that things will work out, even without your obsessive micromanagement. A study from the University of Rochester showed that people with high need for control have significantly higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. Ironic, right? You try to control to feel safe, but you end up creating the internal chaos you fear most. The system programmed you to believe that control equals success, that successful people are those who have everything mapped out, every minute planned, every variable calculated. But look around. How many of these super-controlled people do you know who are genuinely happy and peaceful? The issue isn't that you shouldn't plan or organize yourself. The issue is that you've turned control into an identity. You don't control things, you are someone who needs to control things. And when that identity is threatened, when something goes off script, you panic. Here's the plot twist. Nobody tells you. Life wasn't designed to be controlled. It was designed to be lived. And living means accepting that 80% of what happens to you is completely out of your control. What's left? The 20% that actually matters. How you react to what happens. But you've been conditioned to believe otherwise. They told you that you're the captain of your own ship, that you can navigate any storm if you just plan right. Lies. Sometimes the ship sinks. Sometimes the storm is stronger. And sometimes the only smart thing to do is jump in the water and swim. The real kicker? You're not even controlling what you think you're controlling. You're just creating an elaborate illusion that makes you feel like you're in charge, while anxiety eats you alive from the inside. You've become a control addict who gets high on the feeling of having everything organized, but crashes hard when reality doesn't match your perfectly crafted plans. Think about your last vacation. How much of it did you actually enjoy versus how much time you spent worrying about logistics, checking your phone, making sure everything was going according to your itinerary? You probably spent more energy managing the experience than living it. If you're recognizing yourself in these words, leave a comment with the word prison. Like this video if it's making sense to you, and subscribe to the channel to discover how to break these invisible chains that bind you. Why did your mind convince you that chaos equals failure? Let's talk about the elephant in the room. You're afraid of chaos. Not afraid of heights, spiders, or public speaking. You're afraid of the unpredictable, of what you can't map, calculate, or put in a spreadsheet. And your mind, this professional manipulator, has convinced you that chaos is failure and control is success. But here's the plot twist that'll make your head spin. Chaos isn't the opposite of control. Chaos is life functioning. It's the universe operating on its natural frequency while you try to force it to dance to your rhythm. Think about nature for a second. A forest doesn't have a schedule. A river doesn't follow a business plan. Seasons don't consult a calendar before changing. And yet, everything works in perfect harmony that no CEO could replicate, no matter how many spreadsheets they made. Have you noticed how the best things in your life happened when you weren't trying to control them? That job that appeared out of nowhere, the relationship that started without you planning it, that opportunity that showed up exactly when you'd given up looking. Coincidence? I don't think so. A study from the University of Virginia found that people who embrace uncertainty, instead of fighting it, show higher levels of creativity and overall life satisfaction. They don't live less, they live more, because they don't waste energy trying to control the uncontrollable. The system sold you a lie wrapped in motivational gift paper, that you should have total control over your life. They told you that if something goes wrong, it's because you didn't plan well. If you don't reach your goals, it's because you didn't organize properly. If you feel anxious, it's because you're not in enough control. Complete bullshit. Anxiety doesn't come from lack of control. Anxiety comes from the illusion that you should have control. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the more it escapes through your fingers. Here's a truth that's going to hurt. You don't need to have everything under control to be successful. In fact, the most fulfilled people I know are those who learn to surf the waves of chaos, instead of trying to build a private pool in the middle of the ocean. They understood that control is an illusion sold by a society obsessed with predictability, that the only thing you really control is how you respond to what happens, not what happens. And you know what's the most liberating part? When you stop trying to control everything, you finally get to control what really matters: your reactions, your choices, your values. The rest, let life handle it. If this is making sense, leave a comment with freedom. Like the video if you're starting to question this obsessive need for control. And subscribe to continue this journey of mental deprogramming. How is your control addiction stealing your best moments? Now, I'm going to tell you something that maybe nobody has the courage to say. You're losing your life trying to control it. While you're obsessed with planning the next step, the present moment is passing unnoticed. You've become a tourist in your own existence, always focused on the next destination, never really seeing the scenery. Think about your most memorable moments. I bet they weren't the ones you obsessively planned. They were those unexpected situations, those conversations that came out of nowhere, those details you never could have predicted. Life happens in the gaps between your plans. But here's the problem: you've become addicted to the feeling of being in control. It's like a drug that gives you the illusion of safety, but steals your ability to actually live. You plan vacations and get stressed if it rains. You organize a meeting and get frustrated if someone arrives 5 minutes late. You create a schedule and panic if something gets delayed. The University of California, Berkeley conducted a fascinating study that showed people with high need for control tend to have fewer vivid memories of positive experiences. Know why? Because they were so busy managing the experience that they forgot to live it. You've turned your life into a company where you're simultaneously the CEO, the employee, and the dissatisfied customer. You're always demanding results from yourself, always unsatisfied with performance, always planning the next strategy. And in the middle of this corporate rush you created, you forgot something fundamental. You're human, not a productivity machine. Here's a brutal reality. The more you try to control others, the more they pull away. The more you try to control the future, the more anxious you become. The more you try to control your emotions, the more intense they get. Control isn't the solution, it's the problem disguised as a solution. But there's a way out of this prison you built yourself. And it's surprisingly simple. Accept that you don't need to have all the answers. Accept that not everything will go as planned. Accept that life is messy, unpredictable, and exactly because of that, interesting. Start small. Today, let one thing go out of control on purpose. Don't plan lunch and see what shows up. Leave the house without a defined route. Have a conversation without an agenda. Let the day surprise you, instead of trying to surprise the day. You'll discover that life without obsessive control isn't chaotic, it's organic. It's not dangerous, it's authentic. It's not failure, it's finally living for real. If you're ready to experiment with this freedom, leave a comment with experiment. Like if this video is challenging your beliefs about control, and subscribe to continue deconstructing these limiting beliefs. What if letting go of control is the only path to true freedom? We've reached the point where the mask falls off and the truth appears naked and raw. You don't want control, you want peace. But you were deceived into believing that one leads to the other. They sold you the idea that by controlling everything, you'd finally feel calm. Lie. Obsessive control is the opposite of peace. It's constant war against reality. Let me ask you a question that could change everything. What are you really afraid will happen if you let go of this control? If you're brutally honest, you'll probably discover that your fears are ghosts, projections of a future that will probably never happen, created by a mind that was trained to see danger where there's only uncertainty. The truth is, you're spending an absurd amount of mental energy trying to control things that are completely out of your reach. It's like trying to change the weather by fighting with clouds. Meanwhile, you completely ignore the things that are within your reach: your reactions, your choices, your perspective. A Harvard University study followed people for 20 years and discovered something revolutionary. Those who learned to flow with circumstances instead of fighting them reported significantly higher levels of satisfaction and mental health. They didn't have easier lives, they had smarter lives. Here's the ultimate hack that no self-help guru will tell you. Real freedom doesn't come from controlling everything, but from not needing to control anything. It's when you stop trying to be the director of the movie and accept being the protagonist of your own story, even without knowing the ending. This doesn't mean becoming a hippie who lets everything happen. It means choosing your battles wisely. It means investing your energy where it actually makes a difference, instead of wasting it trying to move mountains that don't need to be moved. Think of it this way: you have a limited amount of mental energy per day. You can spend it all trying to control traffic, people's behavior, the weather, social media, and 1,000 other uncontrollable variables. Or you can use it to build something meaningful, to genuinely connect with people, to create experiences that actually matter. The choice is yours. And ironically, that's the only thing you really control: your choices. The rest is resist or flow, fight or accept, suffer or learn. When you finally let go of this obsessive need for control, something magical happens. You discover that life has its own wisdom, that things resolve in ways you never could have planned, that the universe has a better sense of humor than yours. You don't need more control, you need more trust. Trust that you'll handle whatever comes, without needing to predict everything beforehand. If this video made you question this mental prison you created, leave a comment with trust. Like if you're ready to experiment with this freedom, and subscribe to continue this journey of mental deconstruction. And share with someone who also needs to hear this, because freedom multiplies when it's divided.